Just after high noon in the Pacific time zone of North America. Welcome to a big show. It's Ham Radio Live. Welcome. Today we have a very big man. I mean a star. I think he is on YouTube. His call sign, Kilo 7 Alpha Golf Echo. It's Randy Hall live taking your questions. Oh my gosh. You know, if you have questions about CB, shortwave, ham, broadcast history, this man is an incredible wealth of knowledge. Oh, this is going to be a show of shows. Wherever you're coming from the four winds of the world, away we go. Hi, everybody. Welcome back to the Shack in Oregon. My name's Larry. My call sign's Kilo 7 November, and this is Ham Radio Live. It's good to see you. Thank you for coming. Middle of CQ Worldwide, and I'm glad you're here. I'd like to first let you know, if you'd like to get an amateur radio, please contact a national club. Doesn't matter where it's at. If you're outside of North America, you can reach this club. Just hit the Contact Us bar at www.arrl.org. Hit the Contact Us bar, then they'll send you a radio club near you, and then you contact that club. They'll help you with ham radio questions, even help you get licensed. It's a pretty cool thing. If you have a question for me, please hit me up at cqhamradiolive@gmail.com. And also today, big guest, Randy Hall, Kilo 7 Alpha Golf Echo, all the way from Gold Beach, Oregon. We want to first welcome people here that have joined the channel quickly from Bahrain. That is Tom first in the building. Thank you, Tom. Welcome. Good to see you. Sean is here as well from Great Britain, 2 Echo 0. X-Ray Bravo Tango. He said first to like. Well, we'll give you some applause. Thank you, Sean. You're a good man. All right, let's get over. I want to show you 15 years ago. This is over 15 years ago. This was Randy's very first video.
Shack of Randy Hall. We'll have a little quick tour of what I have in here and what's up outside. This here is my den ham shack, which I have a sofa in here, some storage, and I have a table here with several computers on it, including all of the radio equipment. Here's the main operating positions. You can see some rotor controllers over on the left. The computer screen, which I run TRX Manager, and I've been copying some RIDI using MMTTY this afternoon, TS2000 and an FT990. Close-up of the computer screen. Here's the TS2000, and next to it is the FT990, which I don't use as much anymore. I also have an old Kenwood 7850, which I use on an intercom frequency with some other local people. And I also have an Ft8 which I can use for almost anything, including in the car and portable operations. And on the floor next to everything is the Henry, a pair of 3-500s. And then I have an old Drake watt meter and a Heathkit monitor scope following the amplifier. And here's my high gain TH6DXX, up about 50 feet. It's about 40 feet of tower that's on top of this great big boulder here. And then off the back of the ham shack here, I've got another 40-foot tower. There's a pair of 22C antennas for satellite, and inside is a 38 element for 432. Over on the left here is a 6-meter beam and a combination 2 and 450 vertical beam and a 5/8 ground plane at the very top.
That was Randy's very first video over 15 years ago, and my, how much his channel has grown. Live from Gold Beach, Oregon, Randy Hall, Kilo 7. He is. He's Kilo 7 Alpha Golf Echo. My goodness, welcome. It's good to see you, Randy.
Well, it's good to see you, Larry, and thanks for having me on today.
What an honor. Gosh, I'm happy.
Well, that brings back some memories.
I bet. Oh, my gosh, I bet it does. Wow. How much, let me ask you a question. I got to ask this first because this is important. CQ Worldwide Week, and you can see me in the center there. So hello, everybody. Do you think in contests like CQ Worldwide, Field Day, stuff like that, they should have a field, they should have a class for people with directionals? Because a directional, in my opinion, is so much more valuable than an amplifier.
Yeah, that probably wouldn't be a bad idea. They have a lot of classes now as it is. So that would, then you got directional, high power, low power QRP.
Sure.
So it just, I don't know.
I always think that's probably the biggest advantage you can have is to have yourself a directional. Do you, by the way, we had a question earlier today. Have you got your tower up?
Yes, the tower is up. It was just a little bit under 2 years ago when I ran that whole tower series. Of course, I recorded that over several months, and I actually had those all edited, produced, sitting on the YouTube channel, scheduled to be released. And I released them every Tuesday, so I had my Tower Tuesday series. But once I got it up and operational, then I kind of went on to other projects. It's not finished yet. I still got to do the lightning arresters and some of that stuff, and I have some metal arms to put some cross arms on there to hold up the dipoles. They're just kind of drooping off the tower now, and I like to move my weather station up there, and but just been busy with so many other projects all the time. So it runs, and
That's great. How the heck did you get that tower on the rock? I got to ask that question.
Luckily, I didn't have to deal with it. We actually ended up buying that house from another ham, but
Perfect.
But he had taken all that down because he says when you have people come over to look at a house and they look up and they see all that stuff all the time, so he had it taken down. And I didn't know him until the first time I stopped by the house. So
wow.
And he had sold that tower or something, so my tower didn't fit the bolt pattern. He drilled 3 like 1 inch or inch and a half diameter holes 3 feet deep in that rock and used some type of cement to put those in. So I found a guy in Grass Valley who used to do work for the gold mines years ago, and he had a kind of a scrap yard. So I got a 4-foot square steel plate that was, I don't know, maybe 3/8 of an inch thick, and I had a cardboard pattern, so he blasted the holes in it. It took about 3 of us to push that thing up a ladder and set it down on top of those bolts sticking out, and bolted it in, and then set my tower plate on there, and we went up
That's
from there.
fantastic. That's hamgenuity right there. That's really hamgenuity. I want to welcome Andy New from the UK. Thanks for coming, Andy. Don Bush as well. He is a QRP guy, and he runs on basically the sun or the wind. That's what he does. His call sign, Whiskey Alpha 2, Tango Papa Uniform /QRP. Got to mention Gunter. He was the most excited for you to come on.
Yeah.
DK5ONV. He says, I remember his old shack very well, like it was just 1 week ago. That's a pretty nice comment. Wow.
Thank you. Yes.
Yeah, that's pretty nice. Ishmael is here also. Ish is brand new. He's a young ham in Dominica. Okay. His call sign, Juliet 72, India Mike Sierra. He said, Heil headset and Heil boom mic will be good for my shack. I'm getting them about 3 weeks or so. Yeah, you'll like those. Very good stuff. Good quality.
He's got good gear. Yeah.
He really does. Yeah. Mike McDonald, got to see more of his tower videos. Love it. Love it.
Yeah, right now we're in the process of splitting about 6 to 7 cords of firewood. We just had a steel building put up about 35 by 36 feet. And now my wife and I spent 2 days on the log splitter this week, and we'll be back on it tomorrow if it doesn't rain. So
That's funny. That's funny. Live with Randy Hall, Kilo 7 Alpha Golf Echo. Good guy. A mate you can just chat with here and ask questions of. Please put your questions in the comment section, and we'll make sure to ask Randy your questions, okay? Tom in Bahrain, when I was getting back into ham radio, Randy's channel was one of the first I followed. That's a nice comment. Isn't that a nice comment? It's nice to hear that. Did you ever think back then, 15 years ago, did you ever think it'd be like this?
YouTube was 1 year old when I made that video.
Wow.
I've been involved with video and broadcasting my whole career. I worked for Grass Valley Group for 38 years or thereabouts, through various acquisitions and things like that. But they built all this stuff to produce TV shows, the big switchers, all the backroom stuff.
Yeah.
So I worked on it from the back room, and I was headed to Beijing for a trade show, and I had this little camcorder, so I shot a whole bunch of stuff because I figured, when you go through that many time zones, you wake up at 2:00 in the morning and you can't go back to sleep.
Yeah. Yep.
So, and I had a PMCIA FireWire card, so I was able to plug that into the laptop. I plugged it into the camera, and Movie Maker popped up. I didn't even know that was on the computer. And it said, it said, would you like to take and import your material? And I said, yes. And the motor started running, and I played the tape. I edited that together, and that was the first video.
Live with Randy Hall, Kilo 7 Alpha Golf Echo. I've looked so forward to this show because if you want to ask questions about antennas or tuners, amplifiers, whatever, Randy's a really good resource. So if you're young into ham radio or new into the hobby, or you'd like to get it, this is a great guy to ask questions of. Sean in the UK, 2 Echo 0 X-Ray Bravo Tango. Hey, Randy, what's your daily go-to HF radio?
Well, I just recently, or a couple months ago, kind of went crazy. So I sold my Elecraft K3 with the P3, and I bought an ICOM 7610 and an ICOM 9700.
Wow.
And an ICOM 705.
Oh, you bought your whole package. Good for you, man.
I bought it all. Yep.
Good for you. So you got VHF, UHF, HF, you got QRP. You got it all.
Yeah.
Wow.
So about the only thing I don't have in the lineup is a 7300. So
that's funny. Wow.
But I like the 7610. I've done an awful lot of FT8 and digital with that, and I really enjoy the dual receivers, just a single USB cable that does everything.
Yes.
I actually got MMSSTV to control the radio last night.
That's great.
Yeah, it took a few tries.
I'm going to be talking to you a lot because I've got a 7610 as well. Yeah.
Yeah.
That's great transceiver. It's so easy to use.
Yeah. And the display is nice, gives you it'll take a long time to figure it all out.
No kidding. Oh, no kidding. Absolutely. I want to welcome Michael Galloway from the state of Massachusetts, Kilo Delta 1 Hotel Foxtrot. Welcome, Mike. Good to see you today. Happy Saturday. Appreciate you being here. Again, if you have questions or comments for Randy, please put them in the comments section and we'll get going. I want to welcome Daniel here from New Hampshire. Thanks for coming. You go to that 90-year-old grandmother's party, you do that, okay? Sean, 2 Echo 0 X-Ray Bravo Tango. I'm using the ICOM 7300 Behringer 802 mixer and a Shure SM58 boom mic. That's a nice setup.
Yeah.
That's a nice setup. I
got a Behringer mixer that I'm using to feed the computer here from the Heil. This is a PR22 mic.
Yeah, just about everything here is Behringer gear too. So I like Behringer a lot. Tom in Bahrain, what's one of your favorite, most memorable moments in ham radio?
I happened to catch the astronauts on the space station coming over one afternoon. When I lived in Grass Valley, I had 44 elements on 2 meters for satellite work. Had 2 22C antennas and 38 elements on 432. So I caught them coming over, the Northwest at that point, just at dinner time, and I asked him what he was having for dinner, and he said pork chops. I don't remember now which astronaut I talked to, but that was pretty neat.
That's wonderful. It's interesting because we have a gentleman coming here in November on the 13th. His name is Lloyd Farrington. He's from he's part of the Radio Society of Great Britain, and he was on stage with those deaf children at Maryhurst School talking to the astronauts.
Okay. Yeah.
That's going to be fun. We're looking forward to having him part of that show. And I'm fascinated with calling the space station. I think it's really a cool thing we could do with ham radio. I agree with you. Yeah.
Yeah, I have fun when they get into doing the SS TV pictures from the space station.
Yeah.
To receive that, and I keep thinking I should do a video about how to receive that. Of course, I think about it a day ahead of when a pass comes along, and a lot of times, since it's usually over on the Russian side, they schedule this stuff, and it's only on while they're over in Russia. And, I keep tweeting. I go, why don't I just turn it on for the 48 hours and let it go?
Live with Randy Hall, Kilo 7 Alpha Golf Echo. I told you you'd like this show. Ishmael and Dominica. Hey, Randy, I watched your video on the 10-meter dipole. I make my own now. I'm working in the U.S., Spain, Germany, Italy. My SWR is 1-to-1. I'm loving it. It's about 33 feet up.
Yeah, it's a dipole is one of the simplest antenna to make. You just get some wire and a center insulator, maybe a ballon, and you don't need to be spending a lot of money on a dipole. And once you make it for one band, you can make it for another. You can make a fan dipole, but they get a little more trickier to get them all tuned up because they start to interact. But if you have the space, and a 20 meter and a 40 meter are kind of the go-to bands these days. But 10's a bit open. I've seen Ft8 stuff running. So, have fun on 10. Yeah,
there was some people on 10 during CQ Worldwide earlier today. Quite a few East Coast. We wasn't quite pushing this far west yet. So, it's open. And geez, 15's on fire. Just on fire. I think dipoles, a lot of people, they either don't appreciate them or they haven't used them enough. A wire antenna can be the very best antenna you've ever had, and you can work the world with those things.
Yeah.
You really can. You don't need the gigantic tower. If your budget is, hey, I could put a wire up, I've got the room, do it.
Well, the most expensive ham radio thing I've ever bought was the tower.
I bet. How about? Just give me just a rough estimate.
In about the 9K range, just for the tower. So
I bet. Yeah. Got a question here from Mike McDonald. He says, where did Randy get the cool clock with the date on it? I bet you made that.
It's a kit. It's, oh boy, I can't think of it at the moment. It's like, was it Mixtelia something? It's out of the UK. It's a kit. And it does year, month, day, hours, minutes, seconds, and hundreds of seconds, and it has a GPS receiver, so it's locked to GPS. And I had them modify the software a little bit, so it's UTC. Always and only.
Yeah, and just to show that yours truly isn't brilliant, I started DXing in 72, no joke. I found 640 KFI on my mother's car radio, 71 Firebird. Remember it to this day. And I was locked in then. I was going to listen to far off stations as long as I could, and then I got into shortwave and found a whole different hobby. So I was always in GMT, that's London. Nope. Learn from Randy today. So see, I learned too, you're never too old to learn something. So Randy, thank you.
Oh yeah, it's Mixtelia. It's MITXELA. So MITXELA. Go Google that, and you'll find a kit. It's not a hard kit to build. There's only a couple integrated circuits on the back. But when it comes time to soldering all those displays, 10 pins each, 19 displays, you'll be there for a while.
No kidding. No kidding.
So take your time, and the trick with those things, when you have so many pins sticking out, you kind of hold your thumb on the display on the back where you solder one pin, and then you heat it up again and use your finger to push it flat, so it's flat and parallel to the circuit board, and then you can solder the rest of the pins.
Live with Randy Hall, Kilo 7 Alpha Golf Echo. That's pretty cool. Got a question here from Germany. This is from Gunter, DK50NG. What happened to your ICOM IC7200? He said, after WG0AT Steve heated me up to portable DX, you've been actually the person who convinced me to buy this radio as I watched your YouTube documentary video about it. That's a pretty cool compliment.
Yes, thank you. That was actually a rig that Ray Novak from Icon had loaned me. He says, you want to do, borrow that for a while and do a couple of videos? I said, sure. So I had it for a while and, did those, brought it up here to Oregon before we were living here, set it up in the back of the truck and worked a few stations. So yeah, it's a neat radio. So does he have a camouflage version or just a stock paint job?
He's got the stock one. Yeah, he's got the, but it's interesting for people who don't know the 7200, it's built for weatherproofing. It's built, that you can take it out in the weather and it's not like totally waterproof, but it has some water protection. It's a great rig. Just great.
Yeah, Yeah, it's got the military look, and a lot of people really like that.
Yeah.
It went away for a while, and then it came back,
Yeah.
and now it's gone. And the 705 is the hot portable radio now.
Yeah, no kidding. No kidding. Tom from the Middle East, Alpha 92 Golf Whiskey. And by the way, Tom is somebody who I admire a lot. He literally works an MFJ 1979 adjustable whip antenna. That's what he uses. He runs no ground radials. He just hooks his coax up to it, puts a piece of rebar on the ground that's got a mount to his 1979. He works the world with 85 watts.
Cool.
Just amazing stuff. In the back of his SUV, he says, "Hi, Randy.
Wow.
Are you running power? And if so, what amp are you using today?"
I do have an amp. I have an Ameritron AL82. It's got a pair of 3-500s. But I got my
tube.
yeah, it's nice, rugged. But I got my eye on a Mercury 3S.
That's going to be a popular amplifier, Randy.
It's very cool. I'm not sure exactly what the design history of it is. It seems to be maybe a partnership of somebody in Russia and some people in Florida.
Mm-hmm.
I know they're kind of backlogged with almost a 3-month wait, 3 or 4 months, and it's a kit, but everything is assembled. You do a little bit of soldering of some coax on pads, but it's mostly a screw it together type kit. But I'm kind of waiting for them to have the matching antenna tuner. And
that'd be nice.
Yeah,
that'd be nice. But I know a lot of people who are buying that. It seems to be a popular amplifier right now.
Yeah, because we're getting older, and when it comes time to move that thing, it's 75 pounds.
Yeah.
And when I moved it from Grass Valley up here, I took the power transformer out, which is the way they ship it, because that's like 40 pounds right there.
Exactly. Oh my gosh. We had Martin F. Jew on last Saturday. We talked a little about the AL1500. And, I had a great amplifier. It'll run 2,500 watts. But
it's basically the same thing. It's just the tube section is different.
Exactly. Yeah, that's what I was going to say. It's basically the same amplifier, man. It's great. Here's a neat question. I like this. By the way, Don Bush, antennas go QRP. Yes, he's very good at that, and he loves it. Gunter works the whole world with an end-fed 49-to-1 balance. Nice. That's nice. Yeah. Don Bush asks, Ray, how do you like, Ray, and he means Randy, how do you like the IC705?
It's probably one of the most interesting radios out there, the technology that's in there. Besides all the radio stuff, which is 160 through 70 centimeters, it has the Wi-Fi and the Bluetooth with the that software version that came out a few months ago. Allows the radio to act as an access point. So you can use your laptop and control and run the audio through the Wi-Fi connection to the radio, and that is really slick. So
that's a cutting edge rig.
Yeah, if they took those features and made the 7310 or something, that would be a real
Wouldn't
hot
that be
box.
Great? Oh my gosh, no kidding. Kevin from Great Britain, Mike Charlie Lima. What external power source does Randy use or recommend for the IC705 when he's in the field?
Yeah, I got the extra larger battery that snaps on the back, and I have a Bioenno 30 amp hour battery in a big case. It's down here on the floor. It's actually running something at the moment. I'd pick it up. I also bought a Bioenno. These are lithium iron phosphate batteries. I think I got like a 6 or 7 amp one that I can plug into the back of the 705.
I have a Bioenno too. I love those, and they'll work your stuff for a long time. And what people, especially a QRP rig, my goodness. Randy, what was it like to go to the National Television Museum? You got to tell me that story because it was such a cool video.
Yeah, I knew of them. Well, that was a long trip that summer. It was, I went and hooked up my camp trailer. It's a 22-foot little mini Winnebago trailer, solo. I left from Gold Beach here. I went to Oshkosh, Wisconsin. I've been there 4 or 5 times for the big EAA, the Experimental Aircraft Association Air Show. But there's a television broadcaster group that I hang out with that have been going there for like 30 years. So they get a big camp complex set up with a kitchen and all that. So I was there for about 10 days. I was over at the Warbirds Special Event Station. Ray
Mhm.
Novak from ICOM again was there with his big motorhome, and he sets up a pop-up canopy and then unloads a 7851 and a 7610. We
Oh,
have all these radios, and he's
oh,
got a hex beam on a tower on the back of the motorhome,
jeez.
and worked a lot of people on sideband. And the bands just went dead for a couple days. I said, let's get on FT8. He
Yeah,
says, okay. So he downloaded software, and we fiddled around. We finally got the computer and the radio, and I think I worked about 130 guys on FT8.
that's wonderful. Wow, Live with Randy Hall, Kilo 7 Alpha Golf Echo. It's wow. What was it like to run the 7851? For people who
Oh,
don't
it's
know, that's over $10,000 brand new.
yeah, they're well, the place I went to next had 14 of them, but we'll get on the trip here in a minute. But it's just a fabulous radio. It's a 200-watt radio, dual receive, a lot of dual controls, lots of push buttons and knobs. So anyway, after Oshkosh, I motored down to Ohio and spent a day at DX
Engineering?
Engineering.
Yeah.
Yeah, I met with Tim there in the store. If you've
Yeah.
never been there, it's
I saw the
they're
video where you took the tour of his superstation, the
yeah.
K3LR. Wow.
Well, the store is Summit Racing, so it's the showroom must be 200 by 200. You walk in, there's big carburetors and blowers and all this stuff racing. And in the back corner is the
My
ham
kind of stuff.
station, and so we did a Facebook Live thing, and then Tim invited me out to for dinner the next night, and we went over to the station, and that's where he has all 78 50s and 51s, two on
Mhm.
each band. So you have a
Unbelievable.
run station and a and then a multiplier station. So
Nice.
I'm sure you'll hear them on right now on
Yeah.
all the bands.
Yeah.
And what's kind of neat, he even has two extra upstairs plugged in on hot standby that he's
Jeez.
never ever had to use.
Wow.
Then I left there and I went up to Rochester, New York, and hung out with my sister for a while.
Mhm.
Then I came back and I went to Ohio and went to that television history museum.
Wow. Well, Ben, that place, what a great video you did of that. What were some things that stood out to you from that trip at the television museum?
Just all the different companies and different engineering ideas. What made it really nice was that they had all these little rooms,
Mhm.
and they had this little box on the wall, and the guy who runs the place had these little narrations about what was in the room, and they had numbers on the equipment. He said, "Now look at number two," and you describe that set. So I go, "This is great." I just set my camera in front of the speaker, pushed the button, recorded his whole audio track, remembered what he was talking about, then shot all the shots of all the equipment.
Wow.
And in the back there, they had that broadcasting stuff. So there were some cameras that I worked on at the college studio where I went to, and just some neat old broadcast equipment. And they had some of the CBS color spinning wheel television
Yeah,
equipment.
the mechanical television. Yeah.
Yeah, that was it was the CBS and the RCA. Were
Mhm.
kind of the two systems that were battling back in the 50s, and that whole mechanical thing went sideways, and
Yeah.
we had
Yeah.
an all electronic system. But that mechanical system is what they used on the moon. It was a spinning disc
Was it
sequential.
really?
Yeah. So if you go back and look at some of those Apollo color, you can see when they pan the camera, and the image would break up into RGB and stuff.
Wow. I didn't know that. So they
Yeah.
use mechanical on the moon. Wow. That's
Yeah.
pretty cool. And you think about how far television's come. I mean,
Mm,
geez, it was first mechanical and it was small screens. And then you got to be the bigger screen. I mean, a 15-inch screen was big,
yeah.
and then color came in the late 50s, early 60s. And then took a long time and HD shows up and then everything changed,
Yeah.
everything.
Back at Grass Valley Group, I was working on with a team. We were building a video editing system that fit inside a Tektronix profile. So Grass Valley Group back in those days was owned by Tektronix,
Mhm.
and Grass was doing all the fun production stuff, and Tech did all the instruments, the scopes and the test gens. So they built a 4-channel video server, and they had 4 gig drives in there. That was state of the art back in these
Yes.
days.
And
And
expensive. Oh my
oh,
gosh.
this thing was
Oh,
really expensive, but it had a motherboard in the bottom. It had cross points. It had a bunch of empty slots. So we were building boards that would plug into this thing to do
yep.
real-time video effects. So you didn't have to render DVE, DSP for the audio.
Sure.
We had 26 people working on that um, before they canceled the project. But now I think back what you can do on your PC with, Adobe, the Sony, the Blackmagic design software, it's amazing.
Yeah. Oh, and things have gotten smaller and faster. Yeah.
Yeah.
Smaller
And cheaper.
faster. And yeah, exactly. And cheaper. Well, and that's a lot of the reason why the 7300 is so big. Flex Radio has been building SDRs for 21 years now, but then ICOM had the idea to put a box with knobs and a screen on it, and now they've sold millions. It's amazing transceiver. And it's the first time an SDR had knobs and you could just hold it and put it on your desk without a computer. Fantastic.
Sure, because that's the interface that everybody was used to. A lot of people don't want to be mousing around on the screen and such. So Flex did come out with a panel.
Yep. Yep. They did
midway through their products there. So
Yep. So Flex caught up with the Maestro too, and that's a brilliant little box. Andy New, first of all, buddy, I don't want you ever to say this on this channel again because it doesn't sit well with me because, look, SWL people are special. People who listen to shortwave are just as special as hams. They are. So you say, I'm a mere SWL. Don't do that. You're a good guy. Don't do that. Greetings from, what's that?
Oh, he probably spends hours, tuning outside of the ham band stuff that we probably never find.
Absolutely. I think what you're doing is fantastic. And I do it, Andy, all the time. I'm a shortwave guy too. So, man, it's a good hobby. He says, greetings from Bristol, UK. I'm living in a ground floor flat. What sort of antenna would work best as I'm restricted to indoor use? And he's a shortwave guy, so he's looking at something that's going to receive.
Just put up as much wire running around, try and keep it away from the noisy sources.
Yes, there it is. That's it. Yep, that's it.
You do what you can, so.
Yep. The good thing, Andy, to do, and this worked for me for a long time, if you're able to put up anything outdoors, put a wire out your window and string it along maybe the outside of the house or, anywhere, but just string it up. And as long as you get it, the better, because it's going to hear better.
And it doesn't have to be large diameter wire. You can get some like number 28 magnet wire stuff, or break open an old transformer, and you can run that out to a tree, and nobody's going to see it.
Exactly. It's like a completely invisible thing, Andy.
Yep.
Yeah, and it'll work for you too. It'll really work the world.
Yeah.
Texan sells a radio, a shortwave radio. That's I think can't remember. But Texan sold one where they had the wire with it, and it was like 30 feet of wire. And it's worked great, man. It's hard to see it. And like Randy said, it's like invisible. So I think
if it breaks, you'll put up another one.
Exactly. It's pretty simple. Ian Justice here from the UK. He's at home today. Mike Zero Romeo November Hotel. Thanks, Ian, for being here all the way from Great Britain today.
Yes.
Sean says, 2 Echo 0 X-Ray Bravo Tango. I always EQSL my SWLs. I get quite a few.
Cool.
Shortwave's not dead for folks out there that might think, hey, that was the 50s Cold War. No, it's still alive, and there are lots of stations out there to listen to. And try it on your ham radio sometime. Just go off the ham bands.
So have you ever listened for any of the number stations?
Oh, yeah. We did a segment on that.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, we did a segment on number stations. It's fascinating. It really is.
Yeah, it's pretty spooky stuff. Yeah,
it is. All of a sudden you hear this woman, cinco, dos, cuatro.
The Cubans, yeah.
Exactly right. Yep, exactly right. Albert Klein, want to welcome you to the channel. Thanks for coming. Says, hi, folks. Just stumbled on this channel. Well, thank you for stumbling here. That makes me feel good.
Stumble and stay put.
Stumble and stay. That's perfect. Thanks, Randy. I'll use that one. Thanks for putting in the effort. It is appreciated. Weather here, lousy. Rain and wind warnings here in Ireland. Oh, Albert, I know it's pretty crummy out there. It's pretty crummy. Randy, you also went to WLW, which is one of the stations that I've read a ton of history on.
Yeah.
500,000 watts, and they got away with it for, what was it, like 7 years? They were able to run at that power level. And then they, at first they put up the, the Canadians complained because they were blasting through Canada. So they had to put the directional up there so they could protect Canada. What was it like to visit that place? It's so historic.
That thing is like something out of a science fiction movie.
Really?
It's just huge to begin with. And, you get up on and you walk down the front of the transmitter cabinet. It's about 4 feet off the floor, and then there's like a 2-foot walkway where all the cabinets, for all the tubes that are in there. Each one of those cabinets has 4 of these tubes that are about 5 foot tall, but it's all, water cooled. So there's all this plumbing and Pyrex glass plumbing stuff, and it all goes down in the basement. Unfortunately, a lot of that was damaged years ago. They had a freeze in the building, and it cracked.
Oh no!
But it went out to a cooling pond out front with big sprinklers. And you see some of the pictures in the video of that thing, running. And I think it took like 10, 14 engineers.
Yes, to run it. You're right.
To run it.
To run that transmitter. Exactly.
Yeah.
And the cooling ponds in front of that place, how big were they? Were they pretty large?
Oh, I'm going to say maybe 100-foot square or so. They were pretty good size.
Holy cow.
And of course, in the day, the basement would be totally off limits to any, human beings today. But because they had these great big motor generators down there to generate the filament voltage, What was it, 33 volts at 4,500 amps and this type, and all these capacitors all exposed.
And then they had the big gallons. What is it, like a big huge, and the barrel of oil for their heat sink. It was huge. My gosh, that thing had to be 20 feet tall.
Oh, the modulation transformers. Yeah, there was 2 of those things filled with oil.
Yeah.
And what was interesting, there was so much power going up the tower, and at the base they have this, this decoupling thing so they can run the tower lights. Well, when they get a lightning hit, it would draw an arc across it, and the transmitter would maintain the arc. So they actually had a photo detector out there that would detect that the arc was on for so many seconds. It would drop the transmitter, then bring it back up.
Wow. Are you really? Wow. I'm a huge buff on medium wave, and so that's why this is interesting to me. XERF down in, in Mexico, Wolfman Jack and the story down there. And, they were running, 250,000 watts and the stories down there. It's just unbelievable. What you saw was history. That's 500,000 watts on AM. It was the nation station.
Well, they used the 50,000 watt transmitter as the driver for it. So
yes.
The thing is really an amplifier modulator. So it took the 50,000 to drive it.
Yeah. It was unbelievable. And what I loved about it was the story about like 15 guys to keep it on the air. Had to be there all the time. But no one goes downstairs when it's on the air.
Yeah, they must have had a checklist, like getting Apollo off the ground or something to fire that thing up.
Well, I remember in your video, there was a story about one guy had to go through like the little tunnel thing to take a look at all of the filaments to make sure everything was like, there's no way I'd go in there. Not in a million years.
That was his summer, intern job. He had to put his welding goggles on and stick his head in there and look down into the base of the tube to see if there was any shorts.
No way. Not in a million years. No.
And it was, all those cabinets all had these switching mechanisms. So they could run, there was 3 cabinets for the RF system. So they could run any combination, 1, 2, or 3. So they could pull a cabinet offline and go in there and work on it while the other ones were hot.
No, never. Oh man, Tom from Bahrain. And Tom, thanks for being. I know it's late. Gee, it's 11:43 in the evening where you are. Thanks for coming. He says, "Hi, Randy. Have you experimented with delta loops or rhombics?"
No, I haven't.
Okay.
No.
And you know what? And it's interesting because we all learn. We all learn from each other. I learned today from Randy. GMT. Yeah, there you go. Andy New in UK. Thanks for the advice, fellas. I am Mike Hotel 3007 SWL. Any thoughts on magnetic loops? I could put one in my bedroom window. Yes, that's a good idea. That's not bad. If you got an amplifier, you need an amp for it.
Magnetic loop, you're probably not going to run an amp because most of them can't take much power.
No, I mean a preamp. I'm talking about to bring up the signal because he's running signal to noise if he's got a mag loop,
Yeah, okay.
Yeah.
So this is receiving versus
correct.
transmitting.
Yep.
Oh,
yep.
okay.
Just receiving.
Yeah, they're kind of
So if you've got some sort of preamplifier to bring back the signal up, it'll be great because that mag loop's going to be really weak in terms of what it's picking up because it's picking up the magnetic portion of the electromagnetic wave. But you're going to bring up the signal then with a preamp. Man, you'll do great. You'll do great, man. And low static. Gunter, 500,000 watt AM dead key. That's funny. Yep, that might be the comment of the show. Randy, what is your favorite? Do you have a favorite video you've done? Something you look back on, you're like, gosh, you know what? I like that.
Oh, I don't know if I can't think of a favorite. There's so many. I know the most popular ones. Well, first of all, the WLW is the most popular.
Yeah.
The second most popular is building a quarter wave 2-meter antenna.
Really?
Yeah. So anything where I show how to do something ended up being, some of the most popular.
People learn from it. They really do. They learn from your experience. What do you think is the, digital modes obviously are huge now in ham radio. Do you see ham radio going more that way and less into the, Morse code and voice modes?
It's kind of interesting. Why has the digital thing taken off? I did a whole series of PSK 31 videos, 10 years ago or whatever. I've gave many talks at PacificCon and CPAC and ham clubs about PSK, and I'd kind of get on my soapbox about people just using the macros. And they would send, 2 or 3 macros, what their station, and had all the brag stuff, what version software and how many megabytes of RAM and all that stuff. And so they go through like 2 or 3 macro exchanges and then go 73, and then they would call CQ and go through the exact same thing with somebody else. And I'd always say, have a conversation.
I agree.
Just don't sit there and exchange macros.
Yep, I agree with you.
Fast forward 10 years. Now we're on FT8, and all we exchange is call sign, signal report, and a grid location.
Exactly.
73 and CQ. So we're doing the same thing a whole lot faster now, and a whole lot more people are on, and they're having fun.
Yeah,
they're working DX. They're working stuff they could probably never do on voice.
On voice, yep.
And, CW has become popular. I'm not a CW guy. I was a novice years ago, and that's the end of that.
Yeah, and I think a lot of it too is a lot of younger people are really into digital modes because they're used to them, Yeah. I mean, gosh, they're doing robotics in high school now and things that are so technical that you and I, we just didn't do. You know? We just didn't do it.
And some people may not want to have a conversation.
Yeah.
They're mic shy or whatever, and maybe they're not used to routine. So, FT8, they can sit behind the computer and have fun. I stumbled across an Ft8 Sprint Contest a couple of weeks ago. The guys from Temporarily Offline, their YouTube channel, they have a contest they run called Ft8 Off, and they have a live scoreboard. It's a 1-hour contest, and you set up with your WJST or WSJT software to a secondary reporting site in the reporting tab, and it sends, every time you hit the log button, it sends it up, and there's a live scoreboard. And these guys, there's like 4 or 5 on the channel, YouTube, doing play-by-play as people are on there. So I got on there, here I am on the West Coast, I point the beam out towards the ocean and sit there and work JAs, South Korea, Indonesia, ZLs and VKs. And there was 33 stations on that night, and I won.
Did you really? Congratulations, man! Way to go.
That's great. And they were on there, and they're and I was neck and neck with somebody else. I forget, Mike, I believe. I think he was working at a park, so he got more points than I did. And we would be going back and forth, and they go, "Oh, Randy's in the lead. No, Mike's in the lead. Mike's falling behind. What's it? Mike's batteries died."
Oh no! Oh, and then Randy jumped ahead.
Yeah, and you
Good
can
for
click
you.
on the call sign in the live scoreboard log, and it opens up and shows you all the stations. And they,
Wow.
clicked on mine. Said Randy's on 15 meters. 15's open, and he's just working JAs. Look at But I would click on other guys, and there's guys with flexes running 2 slices, and they're running 2 bands at the same time.
Yeah. Yeah.
So
Oh man, that's funny. That's
so
funny.
so those are things to get on and participate in, and you'll hone your operating skills and things, and you may work 5 stations one week and come back on the next, and maybe you work 10, so you're improving, and
Mhm.
that's what contesting can do for you.
Yeah.
It can
Yeah.
help you improve your station and your operating techniques.
Yeah. And you learn a lot. I
You
mean,
learn, yeah,
it's
there's
so important.
strategies and things.
Yes.
Yeah,
Where you're going to
you
work, where
all
you're
right.
going to work, when, all of that. I had
You
a
want to run
goal
in
with.
the QRP or the 100-watt or the kilowatt class.
Yes, yes, exactly. I agree with you. No, I do. And I love, CQ Worldwide to me is fun because for me, I'm never going to be big score in it. I'm not into really contesting. I'm more into DX. So I want to
Yeah.
see how far I'm getting, how many continents or countries I can get. That's all I care about for me.
Uh-huh.
So
Well,
I
you
had a
can work
goal.
some.
I had a goal for
I
40. I think I got 19 already, but it's like, I
Yeah.
gotta get 40. It's going to bug
Yeah.
me.
You got a day and a half to go. So yeah, and you can work some new countries. Also, before these big major contests, start
Yeah.
looking around several days before, because a lot of these guys get on and get set up and get their antennas fixed, and they're making contacts,
Yes, they are.
and it's a little slower pace. So yeah,
Yes.
look for
Yes.
them a few days before too.
Yep. Good advice, Randy. Thanks. Yeah. Tom from Bahrain, Alpha 92 Golf Whiskey. Some folks are using FT8 due to high noise floors. And yes, the temp offline guys have a nice channel, ham radio dude and Steve. That's pretty
Yeah.
sweet. That's pretty sweet.
Yeah, they do a good job. Yeah, it was fun.
That's cool. Greg, Kilo Fox Zero Charlie New Zulu. I watch the FT8 off every week. It really shows
Oh, okay.
some of the fun of ham radio. Great comment, Greg. Thank you. Hey, we've got
Get on there.
our
Get
fourth,
on.
our fourth, exactly. There you go. Be a part of it.
Join in.
VK Radio Ham is here. His call sign, Victor Kilo 3, Golf Echo Kilo. Thanks for being here, mate. Good to see you, and a very happy Sunday to you over there.
Yes.
Don Bush with a great comment. Ham radio is truly a multifaceted hobby. Yes. So many things you can do. So many things. QRP, digital modes, voice, CW. And I'd kind of like to learn CW. I've tried, but every time it just goes too slow. I have a hard time with it.
I like building kits. I'll see a kit advertised, I buy it. I got a box. I got probably months worth of kit building to do here, and I should start doing those. I think people like to watch those videos. They can be long and slow, but they see the procedure and how to do things, and it's just fun looking over someone's shoulder as they do these things.
Yeah, absolutely. And welcome, by the way, to Ron, Victor Alpha 3, Foxtrot Union Charlie from Canada. Thank you for coming. Good to see you, my friend. Randy, any goals? Like, you moved from California to Gold Beach and then had to rebuild everything. How long did that take to do that?
Well, let's see. We got up here October of 15. We were going to have a house built. We had the land for about 10 years at that point. So,
Okay.
and getting a contractor into plans, and we had a rainy winter, so nothing got started. And so it took about 13 months to build the house and get moved in. And we're pretty much settled now, but I'm still working on the tower and some ham things, and it's just a big project, but we really enjoy it. We have tremendous views out the window here. I have the shades down right now, but I can see a lighthouse 35 miles north of me up the Oregon coast. I'm 1 mile in from the water and up 1,100 feet.
Yeah, and for folks who don't know, Gold Beach is in the southern Oregon coast. It's just beautiful. A very, very beautiful coastline down south, really is. Want to welcome as well, Delta Lima 3, Papa Whiskey Romeo. Good evening to you all the way from Germany. Thanks for coming today. It's an honor to have
Thank you.
Randy, any goals still for like YouTube? Hammer. I mean, you've done so much. Any thoughts?
Yeah, I just need to, get back in the saddle again and doing things.
Mm-hmm.
I got some more antenna stuff I'd like to document.
Mm-hmm.
We going to Quartz Fest. That's a fun thing in January where there's like 1,000 of us out there in the desert camping, boondocking
Where's that
for a
at?
week. That's in Quartzsite.
Okay, Courtside in Arizona, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. Yep.
Yeah.
Beautiful.
And yeah, so uh, my kit building videos. I like to do one about power supplies. There was an article in CQ about power supply testing, so I got a aluminum plate, a bunch of power resistors.
Mm-hmm.
Um,
You like to teach people. You like to
yeah,
share your knowledge with people, and you're really good at it because you share it
thank
in
you.
ways people could understand. Was that always kind of the plan?
No,
Just came out that way. Wow.
well, a lot of my original videos were me like operating. I'd work a DX station, I'd have a map and show where it is in the exchange and do that type of thing. But when I started to do the videos how to do something, originally I think the first ones were the PSK. Those are the ones that took off. They had lots of views, a lot of comments, a lot of getting people on the mode for the first time or building an antenna for the first time. So those are the ones that get a lot of traction. I don't get into the review stuff too much. There's so much of that out there.
Yeah. In the open
and
box videos.
yeah,
Okay, it's a
I've done
box.
a
There's
few.
a radio.
Yeah.
There you go.
Yeah.
Yay.
I must say the ICOM box, especially the 7610, is an amazing piece of packaging. That was
No
really
kidding.
well done. The way that it sits in the cardboard cradle inside, it opens up, and it's got handles so you can pull it out so you don't drop it on the floor and stuff like that.
Well, it has those cardboard slots at the top and the bottom with the styrofoam too that protect the center case. The center box.
Yeah.
Very well designed. Yeah, my father-in-law just bought one. Guess who's driving down to Tracy, California next weekend to put it up?
Okay.
Yeah, there you go.
That's about what? That's about what, 600 miles?
Yeah, 500 driveway to driveway. Believe me,
Yeah.
we've checked.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's a good drive. We love to see him and mom too down there. Mike McDonald says, I remember I worked at a small AM station many years ago, and my engineer called me up from his vacation in Alaska. I was in Georgia, and he said, Mike, you need to turn the power down. I'm hearing you up here. Yeah, I mean, AM stations, when it was legal sunset, you had to drop power. If you were, not a class A, and clear channel, that was the rule back then. You had to do that. I remember that. We always had, in here, and this is funny, you'll get this because you were broadcasting. There was always a big red button to turn the power down or to power the transmitter up in the morning. It was like they couldn't trust the air talents at the station to have anything less than a big red button.
Well, you probably had to have a FCC license to touch that button.
It's just funny. Man, I worked at
those days have all gone away.
No kidding. Everything's automated now. But back in the day, I remember we had a Collins. It was a 5 kW and 1 kW night. And, big red button, and you'd turn it. And then all of a sudden, it would just, you'd hear this big, and then it would be on 1K, 1 kW.
It's loafing.
Yep. It was just kind of loafing along. Boy, those were great days, great memories. And back then, I remember we had an automated AM station. I made a terrible mistake. The guy that was on, because we were top 40 on FM, and it was classic, it was like 50s and 60s on the AM side. And I threw Mr. Lonely by Bobby Vinton in the cart deck. That was for jingles. I didn't put it in the right cart deck. So we didn't think anybody ever listened to that station anyway. And so I guess it must have played Mr. Lonely like 7 times. This guy finally called the request line. It was the only time I ever saw that request line light up. And he calls the DJ, guy that's working before me, goes, "Hey, Jim, I thought you might be lonely. I thought you maybe wanted to talk to somebody." Oh my gosh, it was terrible. So we threw the jingle card back in. Crash radio used to be fun.
Well, my second WLW video is all of their 50 kilowatt transmitters. So it's got the original Western Electric up to the current Gates, all solid state one. So that shows you a lot of the transmitter technology over the years too.
Oh, big time. One of the best things to do when I was in broadcasting, I loved to go to the transmitter site because that's where all this stuff ended up. Used stuff they don't no longer use, like tape, the big reel to reels were in there. This one station I worked at, I'm not kidding you, Randy, it had to be 3 feet high and probably about 5 feet wide of old radio dramas on the acetone records,
Oh boy.
Yeah. And I really wish I'd have grabbed some of those things now. Man, yeah, Fibber McGee and Molly and all those shows from the old days, they were the original discs. Unbelievable.
Content is king.
It really is. Yeah, it really is. Tom Rowland says, "Hi, Randy. Thanks for your videos, mate. It's nice to be able to say, hi, more me. Good to see you." That's funny.
Thank you.
That's funny. Don Bush, back in the day, some AM broadcast station used directional vertical arrays. I remember the old days. Yeah, there was some directional, and in shortwave, there still are. There's still some directional vertical arrays out there. There still are. Yeah. Randy, anything else you'd like to share with people? Because we just want to celebrate you. You've done so much good and you've helped so many people. I wanted to take a moment myself just to say thank you for what you've done. You've made a difference with your life in radio. Thank you.
Well, thank you. It's, the people watching, all the viewers make it, that's why we, do this. So I really appreciate that. The time it takes. I wish I was, we go through these ups and downs of how often we take and produce things. So I'm doing it, 15, 16 years. So I'll get back at it. Maybe we'll get this firewood cut up and have a rainy winter and I'll be here in the ham shack a lot.
Gotcha. So. And that would be great because, people love to see you there and, it's like a visit, it's like spending time. That's important.
So what would people like to see?
Sean, you know what? This is Mike 0, Romeo, Mike, Yankee is his call, Larry. Sorry, Sean. Okay, so back to the Mormy comment. Please erase that part. Tom, okay, Mike 0, Romeo, Mike, Yankee. There you go. It looked like Mormy, okay? Sorry. All right, so, and thank you, by the way, Tom. Sorry, I didn't mean to be disrespectful. I know it's your full call sign there in the UK. Okay. So, Randy, any final things that you'd like to do, on YouTube besides you're talking about antenna videos, teaching things? You ever thought of teaching some of the licensing stuff too?
Never got involved with that.
Mm-hmm.
There's so many people on YouTube have complete courses in that.
Yeah.
So there's so many, it's just, why repeat the wheel? So,
yeah.
I point to people, you got, George Thomas with his, Ham College, Dave Kassler has stuff on licensing. There's a bunch of others out there. So, find one that you're comfortable with. If you don't like that guy, go on to somebody else. So,
let me ask you one final question, and this is the money question of the show for me, because this channel is about trying to encourage people to come into ham radio. A lot of people from the 50s and 60s, they're the older ages now. Okay. And people even, 40s, I don't care what age you are, but some people think it's just too hard, too much work. They don't retain stuff, whatever. What would you say to those people who've thought of being ham radio operators, but just don't want to maybe take that step?
Well, I don't think the step is all that big. To get your technician, it's not complicated. You're not into a lot of theory or math. It's basically some rules and regs, a little bit of operating procedure, and some of the terminology and things. And find a club.
Mm-hmm.
Find a club or find somebody to work with, and they'll help you get on. That's a lot of the clubs, they may have a license thing, but they don't have an operating class or whatever. So find a club. Get involved. If you go to a club, you're not accepted, or they just seem to be too focused on something. If you're in a large metropolitan area, find another club.
Yes.
That's
Ray Novak says the same thing. That's the most important thing. Yeah, good. That's a nice comment, Randy. A couple more comments and we'll close the show, folks.
Okay.
VK Radio Ham, Victor Kilo 3 Golf Echo Kilo says, good to see Randy on your stream, Larry. He has a lot of knowledge to pass on to us all. I totally agree with that. Totally. Albert Klein from the UK. He's in Ireland. He says, Randy, perhaps one day cover rhombics. There is one ham around who has 35 kilometers of wire in the air. I've seen that video. That's over in, I think, New Zealand or Australia. Wow. It's incredible.
I try and do things that I know about, that I work with. The idea of putting up a rhombic just to do a video about it, the lot here doesn't deal with that very well. So.
Oh boy, and Tom,
so I would say,
for being here. Thanks, Tom.
I'd say Google around, maybe you can find that material.
Exactly. Yeah, I mean, for folks who haven't seen that video, it's a video of a guy who has like telephone poles, like what you'd have like on the street, and he has the heavy gauge wire, and he literally is resonant on every frequency. And, he needs 100 watts and he can work the world because he's got a great antenna. Yeah,
do some searching for the Don. What was it? Wallace station. Was it W6AM, I believe? Mm-hmm. He was down in Southern California, ended up with Navy property with dozens of rhombics back in the, post World War II days. Mm-hmm. And there's some videos, and it's, just all this wire coming back to the ham shack, about 100 relays to do the antenna switching. It was quite something in its day when it was up and running.
Yeah, no kidding. I bet it was. Tom Rollins from the UK. No problem, mate. I made a mistake on your call, and I do feel bad about that. It's actually a silly visual play on words. I'm a medical officer in the Army. Tom, we want to thank you for your service. Thank you.
Yes.
Appreciate it very much. People like you are so valuable to people like us. Thank you for what you do. Sean, in UK, Larry's channel's becoming a who's who of ham radio. It's funny. Now, actually, it's because of people like Randy who are kind enough to come on. And I want to make that really clear. Randy and the other people who've come on the channel, it's their time out on a Saturday or on a whatever day. And they're helping you guys. And that was the main purpose. So I'm honored that Randy came. I mean that very sincerely, Randy. Thank you.
Thank you. Yeah. Just glad to be here.
No, thank you. Got a final comment. We should probably do it from Gunter because he's your biggest fan. Right. K7AGE, I am looking so forward to make contact to Randy via the airwaves. Randy, thanks for coming. Stay healthy and safe. 73 is your friend, Uncle Gunter. Good way to end the show.
Well, thank you, Uncle Gunter. Yes, thank you. Yeah.
All right,
one of these days we'll meet up.
And that'll be the call of the lifetime for him, probably.
Yep.
Yeah. Be very special. You're a pretty special guy. Thank you, Randy, for coming on today. We really appreciate it. I'm going to do a sign off close by. I wish I could make it closer than where we are, but where you are, but it's as close as I could get. So we always end the show with a TV sign off in honor of broadcasting. So.
Well, thank you, Larry. It's been a fun afternoon.
Well, thanks for being very
appreciate it.
Gracious.
You having me on.
You're very gracious, Randy. Thank you. We've been live with Randy Hall, Kilo 7 Alpha Golf Echo from his YouTube channel. And by the way, please subscribe to it. If you've never seen it, it's like an encyclopedia of radio from A to Z, from your, shortwave, your ham, your AM, your television. It's all there. Plus, he teaches you how to build stuff too. K7AGE. Find him right here on YouTube. That's it. This show is over, and we thank Randy Hall, Kilo 7 Alpha Golf Echo, for joining us from Gold Beach, Oregon. Until next time, my name's Larry. My call sign's Kilo 7 Hotel November. The very best to you and your family. God bless you wherever you may be. And goodbye, everybody.
You're watching Oregon-owned Oregon's Fox.
out the light.